Welcome to Dark Tales True Crime Podcast. I'll be your guide as we delve into the chilling depths of humanity's darkest stories. In each episode, we'll uncover the hidden truths behind some of the most perplexing, sinister, and mystifying true crime cases from around the world. From unsolved mysteries that have baffled investigators for decades, to the minds of notorious criminals that still haunt our nightmares, this podcast is not for the faint of heart. We'll navigate through the shadows of history, exploring the motives, methods, and psychology that drive individuals to commit unthinkable acts. Whether it's a chilling unsolved disappearance, a complex web of deception, or the hunt for a serial predator, Dark Tales will leave no stone unturned. As we journey through the facts, the theories, and the unanswered questions, prepare yourself for a rollercoaster of emotions that will grip you until the very last revelation. So, if you're fascinated by the intricate and macabre world of true crime, if you find yourself drawn to the enigma of the human psyche, then join us on this dark journey. Subscribe to Dark Tales, but remember, as we dive into the shadows, the line between reality and nightmare may blur. Listener discretion is advised. The true crime story of Birna Brjánsdóttir is a tragic and widely publicized case that took place in Iceland in early 2017. Birna Brjánsdóttir was a 20-year-old Icelandic woman who went missing on January 14, 2017, sparking a massive search operation and capturing the attention of the nation. Birna was a self-assured woman with auburn hair and she grew up in the suburbs. She loved music and she liked to drive. Birna also loved the nightlife around Reykjavík. After finishing work on a Friday, she would often play cards in a pub with friends, and then after midnight, when people in Reykjavík finally start to party, they would go dancing. On the night of January 14, 2017, Birna was out with her friends when they decided to leave at 2 a.m., but Birna told them she wanted to stay, so her friends left, and Birna left the club just before closing time 3 hours later. After leaving the club, she bought a falafel pitta and started slowly walking up Reykjavík, which is brightly lit at night. She was walking alone, which was not unusual behavior in Reykjavík. Birna was intoxicated and at one point she even dropped a few coins and bumped into a passing stranger. She then stumbled past a waffle shop on a corner with a narrow road that led down to the sea. And then, she disappeared. When Birna did not show up at work on Saturday morning, her friend Maria raised the alarm. Birna was always on time and would always let them know if she was going to miss work. Maria called Birna's cell phone. It was off, and Birna's mobile was never off. Maria contacted the friends that Birna had been out with the night before. They had assumed she had gone back to her father's house, where she lived, but she was not there. Maria then called Birna's mother, Brjansdottir, who was worried by the news. Her daughter was independent and strong-willed, but also responsible, and always let her parents know where she was. That evening, after filing a missing person report with the police, Scylla posted a message on Facebook, saying that her daughter had not come home from her night out or been heard from since. Within a few hours, the post had been shared thousands of times, but there was no word from Birna. By the early afternoon, with the light fading fast, Scylla was desperate. Her daughter had not been seen for nearly 36 hours, and she was convinced something was horribly wrong, but there was still no official search. Without evidence of foul play, the police were reluctant to act. But the media had picked up the story, and when the two main television stations called requesting interviews, Birna's mother agreed. The mystery of the young woman who had disappeared from Reykjavik's best-known street appeared on the Sunday evening news. After the news report, police officers began to take the missing persons report more seriously and started collecting the CCTV footage around the area where Birna went missing. They were able to piece together grainy footage, showing Birna's movements after leaving the club on Saturday morning. The police watched Birna drop the coins and bump into the stranger before walking past the Lebowski bar. But in footage from the next camera, one short block away, there was no sign of Birna. Either she had gone down the side road, or had climbed into a passing vehicle. The police did notice a small red car, a Kia Rio, traveling in the opposite direction to Birna. It drove past the Lebowski bar, less than 30 seconds after she had appeared on camera there. Had she got into that car? It was possible, the officers thought. But the video quality was not clear enough to identify the occupants, or the number plate. And when police checked the National Vehicle Database, they found more than 100 cars of the same make, model and color. At 2 a.m. on Sunday morning, Birna's mother and father, who are divorced but on good terms, arrived at the police headquarters. Birna's mother pleaded to be taken seriously, and for an immediate search. Her mother said Birna had no reason to go missing, she was close to her family, and was not involved with drugs, or depressed. Nor did she have money worries. Police eventually announced an area where Birna's phone last pinged, so two brothers who were part of the search party for Birna headed to the harbour at Hafnarfjörður, and they found Birna's boots that were described by the police. This caused officers to look at CCTV footage from the docks. They soon spotted a red Kia Rio entering the harbour shortly after 6 a.m. on Saturday morning. The car parked alongside a 65-metre fishing trawler, the Polen Oak, sailing under Greenland's flag. A man alighted from the car and staggered onto the waiting ship. The car left and wasn't seen again until 11 a.m. Investigators couldn't read the number plate from the footage in Laugavegur, but this recording was much clearer, and they quickly traced the car to a local rental company. It was a rental vehicle, which the company said had been hired by a crew member of the Polen Oak. The man that rented the red Kia Rio was Thomas Moller Olsen, a 25-year-old man from Greenland. He had returned the vehicle at lunchtime on Saturday, and it had since been hired out again to a young family. Police impounded the car, and it was obvious that it had recently been cleaned. On closer inspection, officers found traces of blood on the back seat. The hunt was on for Thomas Moller Olsen and the man seen walking from the car to the ship on Saturday morning. Unfortunately, the trawler had set sail on Saturday afternoon with both men on board. Thomas Moller Olsen was a 25-year-old man from Greenland and had decided to go drinking with his friend and crewmate, Nikolai, in Reykjavík on the Friday night before departing for work on the ship. Police wanted to question the two fishermen, But the issue they had was that the Polar Nanook was now in the middle of the ocean in Greenland. Which means the police had to figure out a way to get the men back on land to be questioned. They planned to fly 4 Icelandic officers onto the Triton, a Danish warship, and sail to Greenland, which was a territory of Denmark, and pick up police officers from there and transport them onto the Polar Nanook to make the arrest. However, this plan never came to fruition. The captain of the Polar Nanook, who had read online that the ship had been linked to the disappearance and was concerned his men might be implicated, had decided to sail back to Iceland. He and the senior crew agreed they would tell Thomas and Nikolai that the engine had malfunctioned and they needed to turn around. The captain also turned off the Wi-Fi, so the 2 men would not be able to read the media reports about the case. Early the next morning, on Wednesday, 6 members of the Special Police Squad, known as the Viking Squad, boarded a helicopter and flew out to meet the Polar Nanook as it crossed into Icelandic waters. The officers safely rappelled onto the deck, and Thomas and Nikolai were arrested and confined to their cabins. In 12 hours, the Polar Nanook would reach Hafnarfjörður. The arrest brought a small measure of relief among the Icelanders, who found a small level of comfort that the arrested men were foreign. The 2 men were then taken to the headquarters in Reykjavík, where questioning began immediately, with both men, interviewed separately, denied causing her any harm. Their accounts of what happened the previous Friday night and the first part of Saturday morning, until Nikolai was dropped off at the ship, were similar. And goes like this. The Polar Nanook had arrived from Denmark on the 11th of January, 2017, a Wednesday, to pick up fresh crew members. And on the Friday, a few of the men remaining on board decided to go for a night on the town before heading back to sea. Nikolai took a taxi from Hafnarfjörður to Reykjavík, and went for a drink in the English pub just off Laugavega. He paid 2,500 kroner, which is around £18, for a spin of the Lucky Wheel, a game of chance with a grand prize of 8 beers, which he won. By the time Thomas had driven the rental car to the capital and joined his crewmate, Nikolai was already very drunk. They later moved to another bar before going for a drive and ending up on Laugavega. This was where the red Kia Rio was captured on CCTV at the same time as Birna disappeared. Both men claimed that 2 women had entered the car at that point, although Nikolai, who said he fell asleep on the way to Hafnarfjörður, recalled nothing about them. Thomas told police that after dropping Nikolai off at the Polar Nanook, shortly after 6 a.m., he had parked at the end of the harbour and climbed into the back of the tiny car with the 2 women, one of whom was Birna, who he claimed to have kissed. He said he dropped the women off at a nearby roundabout after about an hour. To the police, Nikolai's vagueness seemed plausible. From the CCTV footage at the harbour they could see how drunk he was. But Thomas's account was full of holes. At 7 a.m. on Saturday, when he was seen on camera driving away from the harbour, his phone went off for 4 hours. The car was not seen on any surveillance footage again until 11 a.m., when Thomas returned to the port. He said he had slept in the car during that time, although the odometer reading suggested he had taken a long drive. Soon after, he was captured on video buying Ajax cleaning liquid, clothes, and plastic bags at a supermarket, and then scrubbing the inside of the car. He claimed to have been trying to remove vomit from the back seat. But after the rental car was impounded and the blood sample taken for testing, a forensics officer sprayed the interior of the vehicle with luminol, a chemical that glows bright blue when it comes into contact with bloodstains, even those that have been cleaned up and are invisible to the naked eye. The car lit up like a Christmas tree, and the officer would later testify. Forensic testing done later would also prove that the blood found in the car was Birna's. Other evidence also weighed against Thomas. The doctor who examined him noted scratches on his chest, indicative of a struggle. Meanwhile, more importantly, they discovered Birna's driver's license, folded and discarded in the ship's garbage bin. On the morning of Saturday the 21st of January, a week after she vanished, the biggest search operation in Iceland's history began. The vast search area included Iceland's southern peninsula, with its lava fields, snowy hills, and frozen lakes. Saturday's search yielded nothing. On Sunday the 22nd of January, Birna's body was found by a Coast Guard helicopter flying low over the desolate coastline near the bright orange Selvogsviti lighthouse. There is no beach there, only large black stones littered with fishing buoys and driftwood from distant lands. An officer on board the helicopter spotted something near the water's edge. It was Birna's body. Memorials were held in Greenland, whose citizens had followed the case with horror and shame, in Denmark, and all the main cities in Iceland. In Reykjavík, thousands of people walked together down Laugavega, leaving candles and flowers at the spot where Birna disappeared. Her funeral was held at the Hallgrímskirkja, the biggest church in the country, with the president and prime minister among the 2,000 mourners. Birna's friends carried the white coffin. One of the songs played at her funeral had the lyrics, "If you must die, sweetheart, die knowing your life was my life's best part." In March, Birna's family finally found out how she died. Though Birna was found naked, there was no evidence of SA. She had been struck in the face and strangled at the harbour, police believe, when Thomas was seen on camera entering the back of the car, before his phone was turned off and he drove away from the port, but she was alive when she was put into the water. The autopsy revealed the cause of death to be drowning. Nikolai was released after 2 weeks in custody, when police concluded he was not present when the crime was committed. Despite the evidence against him, Thomas did not confess, sticking to the same story through 9 police interviews. Police still had no idea why Birna got into his car on Laugavega, or why he killed her. On the 30th of March, 2017, Thomas was charged with murder. When his trial began in August, the prosecution's case was even stronger. His DNA had been found on the laces of one of Birna's boots, and his fingerprint was on her driver's license. In August 2017 in a Hafnarfjörður court, Thomas covered his face and sat facing away from the gallery. Speaking in a low voice, and without emotion, he spun a completely new story. Instead of 2 girls in the car, now it was only one, Birna, who he said had suddenly climbed into the Kia Rio as he drove along Laugavega. Thomas said he had stopped the car and got out to use the bathroom in Hafnarfjörður, at which point Nikolai drove off with Birna, returning some time later without her, to pick him up. To the astonishment of everyone in court, Thomas was trying, at this late stage, to pin the murder on his crewmate. A month later, Thomas Moller Olsen was sentenced to 19 years in prison by 3 judges. His appeal was rejected in February 2019. Because of Birna's death, more security cameras were placed in public areas to protect its citizens and prevent anything like this from ever happening again. And since the abduction and horrific murder of Birna Brjánsdóttir, young women are more careful when they're out at night in Iceland. Thank you for joining us on this gripping journey through the harrowing events surrounding the tragic case of Birna Brjánsdóttir. As we peeled back the layers of darkness and delve into the intricacies of this true crime tale, we are reminded of the fragility of life and the haunting mysteries that can shroud even the most peaceful places. Birna's story serves as a somber reminder that evil can sometimes lurk in the most unexpected corners of our world. Through our exploration, we've confronted the complexities of human nature, the pursuit of justice, and the resilience of those determined to uncover the truth. As we close this chapter of Dark Tales, let us remember Birna not only as a victim but as a symbol of the importance of community, compassion, and the unyielding search for answers. Though this tale has reached its conclusion, the echoes of Birna's story will linger, encouraging us to remain vigilant and empathetic in the face of darkness. Thank you for your unwavering support as we've journeyed through this captivating narrative. As we bid farewell to Birna's tale, we are left with a renewed sense of the significance of every life and the enduring quest for justice in a world that can sometimes be as chilling as it is beautiful. Stay tuned for more chilling narratives and thought-provoking investigations on Dark Tales. Until next time, remember to hold your loved ones close and never underestimate the power of seeking the truth, no matter how unsettling it may be.